Right, time now for today's focus. When the former president of Georgia became the governor of Ukraine's Odessa region, he promised to stamp out corruption. But the surprising political move has perhaps taken a wrong turn. 1 year in the job and Mikheil Saakashvili's reform projects have barely taken off. He also now finds himself in a bitter tussle with the country's political elite and increasingly with Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko, the man who championed him in the first place. This report from France 24 correspondent Gulliver Cragg.
This new administrative centre is one of Mikheil Saakashvili's flagship projects, a place to get a passport or register a business swiftly without paying a bribe. It's unique in Ukraine. Trouble is, it's only working at 10% of capacity.
The main problem is the finance, indeed. We're not getting financed, and they found every possible little legal reason not to provide us with the finance we need.
By they, he means Saakashvili's opponents on the regional council. The governor planned to burst in on a council session last month to try to force the funding issue, but then, just upstairs, he discovered special forces raiding one of his offices.
Что здесь происходит? Сейчас ведутся следственные действия. Протокол заканчивается. Вы хотите сюда, я... Чушь какая. Руки убери! Руки! Почему задержали наших людей? Сотрудников уберите! Сотрудников!
Saakashvili's staff had been detained for hours, though the investigation doesn't officially concern them or him.
This is apparently about some tax issue at the Georgian consulate 5 years ago. Even Yanukovych's team wouldn't use such a pathetic pretext. Hey, you guys in Kiev, are you going crazy?
Saakashvili has a knack for turning attempts to taint him as corrupt, there's never been any proof that he is, into PR stunts of his own.
The thieves decided they could use the same old tactics to compromise us or scare us. They're common thieves and corrupt phonies who have learned nothing from the Maidan revolution. And now they're in the corridors of power plotting this kind of outrage.
Some, though, are growing sick of seeing the governor complain about persecution by his opponents.
Those who want to get things done look for ways to do so. Those who don't, they look for excuses. To have that much authority, that image, that much international clout, and to do so little, to me it's unforgivable.
There's widespread disappointment in Odessa that Saakashvili hasn't achieved more. But at the city's port, notorious for corruption, dispatchers say they have seen major improvements.
The new customs team has reorganized the process so that people cannot give or take bribes. Before, without a bribe, you could not get through at all. It was like a ticket for passage.
Today, Yevgeny has to get the documents necessary to send a cargo of frozen seafood on to Kiev. A procedure that used to involve hours of queues, inspections, and the risk of paying a bribe for every piece of paperwork is now over in 10 minutes.
We've now got the permits for the cargo to continue its journey to Kiev, where it will pass full customs clearance.
And there lies the limit of action at the regional level. The cargo is now out of Yevgeny's and the Odessa customs' hands. Ukraine allows companies to pay their import duties and VAT in any region they choose, regardless of where the goods entered the country. This system is costing the country billions, according to Yulia Marushevska, the young activist Saakashvili picked to clean up Odessa customs.
There are a group of companies who don't want to pay taxes, and now these companies, yes, they left Odessa customs. They went to other customs where they can bargain, they can pay bribe to custom officers who will say that your goods cost like $2 instead of 10, and then they will pay tax from this $2.
Yet many Ukrainians depend on being able to shop in the cheap markets where such semi-contraband goods are sold. The importers who supply them would not survive without cheating the system. This former haulier turned anti-corruption campaigner says he doesn't blame them.
Keeping costs down is a businessman's duty to the state and society. Okay, not to the state, but to society and to God. But what's he supposed to do when taxes are so absurdly high? He has to reduce his tax bill, especially if politicians are stealing those taxes to buy flashy cars with.
The morning after the raid, Saakashvili appeared cheerful as he attended a local school's end-of-year party. But the governor feels his fight cannot be won at the local level or even in one country alone. He now says he may return to Georgian politics whilst still staying on in Ukraine.
We have in Georgia an oligarch, and I'm fighting in Ukraine against the oligarchs. Their behavior is very similar. And how to get rid of it? Well, we need to capitalize on the fact that every person normally wants a better future for at least their kids and for themselves. And status quo, stagnation, is not an option.
It certainly isn't, if Mikheil Saakashvili wants the people of Odessa to remember him as a true reformer and not just a big talker.